I want to help you improve your short game, and there's a lot of things that you can do to understand how to be more effective, more successful in your short game. I want to teach you a shot that we call the release chip. What is the release chip all about? Well, this is a shot that gets on the ground and it rolls out quite a bit. We're not going to do it by changing clubs. What we're going to do is change technique. Now, I'm going to give you some ideas that you need to pay attention to for standard chip shots. The first one is you always want to get close. The second one is you always want to get narrow. So when we come in here to this shot, and we're hitting just a standard chip shot. I've got a 40-yard shot here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get close and I'm going to get narrow with my feet. When I hit this shot, I'm getting this back to that 40-yard flag right there. And what you're going to see is that this is actually a pretty good shot that I've just hit. What you're going to see is this shot right here. Pay attention to some of these numbers because these are going to be important numbers for you to understand. First, my apex was about 8 feet. My vertical launch was 26 degrees. And my carry distance was about 22 yards. My total distance was 39 yards. So if you understand this, I got roughly a 50% air time to ground time. I know it's a little bit more than that, but it's roughly that. Now, what we want to do is I want to teach you about this release chip. And when we start talking about the release chip, you've got to do a couple of different things. One, I want you to get wide. Wait, you just told me to get narrow. Yep. I told you to get narrow, but now I'm telling you to get wide. I'm going to show you what I mean about that. And I want you to release the toe. Now, what does that mean? All right, well, let's first start with what does it mean if I get wide with this? So many times what I see you doing when you stand over these shots is you don't move your body. You just lift the club up into the air, and now you're striking down on that golf ball. What happens when you do that is you wipe spin off, and you create an inconsistent strike. When I want wide, I want you to feel like your body, your arms are moving this back this way. So you'll notice that I really didn't have a lot of wrist break. I really didn't have a lot of elbow bend in my trail elbow. And now I come through, and then the other part of this, I want you to release the toe. Now, what do I mean about releasing the toe? What I mean is when you come through, I want this toe to start to close. I want to hook this. I want my trail hand to start to turn over. And when I turn my trail hand over, what I'm doing is I'm wiping off spin. So remember I shared all those things with you up there in the corner. Well, one of the things that I need you to pay attention to is the backspin number. And that backspin number is at 4,100. 4,100 RPMs of backspin. Now, watch what happens when I do this. I'm going to get a little wide, and I'm going to release the toe. Same 40-yard shot. Now I hit that shot. Now watch what happens to this golf ball. See it rolling, 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 rolling. Wow. Now, come on up here, and let's look at how different these are. First of all, apex. Remember that was at 8? This is at 3. That's under half. Second, 26-degree launch. This one's at 18.2. That's also decreased a ton. Now we look at what happened with the carry distance. 13 yards, and it rolled out to 41. So I almost got them to go the same distance, but completely different trajectories. And finally, the thing that I pointed out to you last when I was in there, spin rates. We were at 4,100 RPMs of spin. I brought that down to 2320. What does that mean? That means that golf ball, when it gets on the ground, it's going to start to release a lot. Greg, let's do this. Let's show what this shot looks like so we have an understanding of the difference between the first one and the second one. All right, that's great, Greg. Now let's take a little peek at this because this is really important for you to see. The red ribbon was the last shot that I hit. That's the one that had that 2,300 RPMs. And the blue ribbon, that's the one that launched at 26 degrees with an 8-foot apex. Look at the difference between these shots. One, you clearly notice that the blue ribbon is higher than the red one. But the other little things you want to pay attention to, we have what we call first touch. That's when the ball first touches the ground. Second touch is after that's that first bounce. And you can see the space between first touch and second touch is a lot greater with the red ribbon than it is with the blue ribbon. And then the other one is third touch. So when we go second touch to third touch, look at that space as well as how high it was. So what ends up happening is you get that backspin, and that backspin has a huge effect on the way the ball reacts when it gets on the green. Not just how far it rolls, but how high it gets. When it bounces up the top there, now all of a sudden what we get is we get a golf ball that's slowing down. It's hit, it's grabbing, it's coming down, it's landing softer this way, it's not rolling out. And so what we end up getting is two dramatically different shots. So let's just hit one more shot here so you get an idea of how I can remind you of what this is going to look like. What we're going to do, we're going to get close to this golf ball and we're going to get narrow with it. As we get close and we get narrow, I also now want to get wide in the backswing. So I want to make sure that my arm, my trail arm, is long in the backswing. And then finally, I want to get this feeling that I'm kind of turning my hand over or releasing the toe, which is why we call it a release chip. So we get in here like this. Let this little release thing go. Same thing. Let's see how I did. Did I hit a good shot? Rolling, 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 rolling. Yep, I can make that putt. So here's what I want you to pay attention to. Pay attention to these keys. And when you understand them and you're able to do them, you now have another shot in your arsenal. One of the most important things that you can do in your short game is have variety, have understanding of what are the different things that you can do to give yourself the best chance to shoot lower scores. And the release chip is going to help you with that.